What? Bang!
Whoa! Wrestling podcast. Just when they think they got the answers, I change the question.
Rep screwed rep.
Yeah.
Woo!
Who are you to doubt El Bandit? Because this guy's a serious professional.
Did he do it? Unbelievable.
Too hot to handle and too cold to hold. And I am Macho King Savage.
Shut your mouth, you thong-wearing fatty. I said WWE stands for...
It's me, Austin.
I will never retire.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey, yo, Pro Wrestling Podcast listeners, welcome to the show where we don't sing it, we bring it. Help us out and click subscribe to show your support. Are you sick and tired of dropping like a ton of cash every year on the latest and greatest wrestling video game? You gotta stop, man. Put that cash back in your pocket. Grab Wrestler Unstoppable totally free. You heard me right, totally free. All you gotta do is go to app.wrestlerunstoppable.com, sign up today, and you can create your own wrestler, sign contracts, get into storylines, headline PLEs, even build your own corporation from the ground up, all included in Wrestler Unstoppable. Again, totally free. If you want to become a member of the Pro Wrestling Podcast family, you want your name in the shoutouts like my good buddy John down in Texas, then you got to pop over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/Pro Wrestling Podcast. Sign up today. Here's the thing. You could sign up for the free tier, and then they'll notify you every time I put up some new content that is open to the free tier. If you want to get Patreon exclusive content, that requires a paid subscription. I don't care what the monetary amount is. If you donate money to my show, I'm putting your name in the shoutouts. That's the way I work. That's the way I roll. But if you would like to host the show with me, $15 a month contribution will get you a guaranteed spot co-hosting with myself. $7.50 a month, I'll enter you into a drawing to also co-host an episode with me for some Patreon exclusive content. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Fro Wrestling Podcast. I am Dr. Fro. If you have questions for me, something you want me to touch on, anything, comments, concerns, give them to me over at the Fro Wrestling Sound Off line, 267-642-1160, and I will get to those in a future episode. Tonight, a couple things going on. We're going to hit some of the news and tidbits from around the world of pro wrestling, and one of the things I love tonight is I have some questions from listeners that I want to address. I've been asked my input or my opinion on a couple things, so we'll throw that in there as well. Let's start the show with JBL talking on his podcast that he does about Brock Lesnar, and referencing that he believes that Brock Lesnar is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, even referencing him as the GOAT, and making reference to the fact that so often people have these debates about the greatest wrestlers of all time, and you don't always hear Brock's name come up in those conversations. JBL is somebody who's been in the ring with a lot of those other people who are considered at that level, and he made it clear that Brock is one of them. And if you think about it, one of the things that has come out in the last several years about Brock Lesnar is his propensity for being able to work with just about anybody. The knock on him was always his promo skills, but let's be honest, in the last couple years, his promos have been pretty solid as well. Him going off script sometimes, some people might get irritated by, but I actually love that when he's put Cody over at SummerSlam, when he put Oba over this summer. Love the retirement angle, the original one at WrestleMania. Ending the streak, all these types of things, and his just reign of dominance in the ring. So few people have beaten Brock Lesnar in his pro wrestling career. It's like it's a very elite status list of people. So the guy has to be, and I'll be honest, I haven't really thought about it. People have asked me all the time. As a matter of fact, one of the questions I was going to address tonight was, who is on my Mount Rushmore? I was asked that by Stacy, and I apologize, Stacy, I don't know any more than just the first name. Stacy asked me about my greatest of all time, or my Mount Rushmore, and I don't know, because it's so hard. And I did see where I forget which show it was. I want to say, man, I apologize. I can't remember which show it was. It might have been the one with Maven, where they were talking about greatest of all times or something like that. And they said, maybe you need to do it by eras. Like, who's like the old school? Is Bruno the old school guy? Is Hogan the guy from the 80s, or Flair or something like that? Somebody from the Attitude Era, is that like a Bret Hart or Stone Cold? Then you get into Ruthless Aggression, John Cena, and you get into the modern era, and then you look at somebody like, Roman Reigns or whatever. And it was a really interesting conversation. I think that might be a better way to look at it than a Mount Rushmore. Trying to compile all the stats and things in your brain and narrow it down to 4 guys that go into Mount Rushmore of pro wrestling is very, very difficult. Now, if you ask me who my 4 favorite wrestlers is, that's hard enough, much less being greatest. But my 4 favorite wrestlers, Sting is always at the top of my list. Shawn Michaels is always at the top of my list. Hulk Hogan is always at the top of my list because the 3 of them are who kept me wanting to watch professional wrestling. They were my be-all, end-all that kept me engaged in what I was watching. Going for a 4th of my favorites, which, man, I feel bad because no matter who I say, I'm going to be upsetting, I'll be upsetting some of my buddies who we've talked about this before. But in all seriousness, if I had to pick a 4th person as one of my favorites, it might be Brock. To be perfectly honest with you, I still have the very first Brock Lesnar shirt that was ever released. I still wear it. Oddly, it still fits, which is crazy. Man, I said Brock, but AJ Styles is at the top of my list too. If anybody tunes into my show knows that. So I don't know, man. Maybe I got to have a top 5 for my favorites of all time. But again, that doesn't make them automatically the best, greatest wrestlers of all time. So I don't know. Really depends on who you are. I'm not going to complain about anybody's Mount Rushmore, no matter what it is. Maybe do a Mount Rushmore of jobbers. That would be cool. You got to give it to Steve Lombardi at number 1, Iron Mike Sharp number 2, Brad Armstrong number 3, and I don't know where you go from there. I wasn't really playing. Gilbert. I'll go with Gilbert as number 4. From there, let's move on. Dave Meltzer addressing the booking of this week's Dynamite episode where we had the second entrant to the Casino Battle Royal match. That's the one it was actually in, where it was Nick Wayne versus Speedball Mike Bailey versus MJF. And of course, MJF was going to win the match because he's got his feud going on with Andrade, who won entrant number 1. So the question was, when Nick Wayne is scheduled to challenge for the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship against Bandito at Death Before Dishonor, why would you have him take the loss in this match instead of Speedball Mike Bailey? And Meltzer was like, that's because Mike Bailey's higher on the card. Which Brian Alvarez countered with, but he's challenging for the Ring of Honor World Championship. And then the explanation was Speedball's higher, that Tony Khan does not worry about, detracting from the quality of the Ring of Honor title. Bandito has lost in Mexico, things like that. Making it sound like Tony Khan doesn't really have this cohesive booking style across his different companies and programs and stuff. And I don't know if that's a good thing, because I'm kind of in agreement with Brian Alvarez. If you're going to have Nick Wayne challenge for the Ring of Honor Championship, 1, if you want him to win it, he can't lose here. That's stupid booking. 2, if he's going to lose there, and you're doing this here and then he loses there, it makes it look like the Ring of Honor Championship match was worthless. If you're just going to have him beat here, have somebody else challenge for the Ring of Honor World Championship. There's tons of talent. Have Brian Cage challenge for the Ring of Honor World Championship. He's somebody who's worthy of being a Ring of Honor champion. Have, Lance Archer, who's somebody you're doing nothing with in AEW, who's a quality wrestler. I'm a fan of his going back years. He was TCW World Champion. For anybody who knows what TCW was, Traditional Championship Wrestling. I would love to see that. But you don't have to put somebody like Nick Wayne in that position and then beat him on Dynamite. I agree with Alvarez. I think it was a terrible booking. From there, Chris Jericho in the news with Hulk Hogan. Strangely, if Hulk Hogan was making a claim right away, everybody would think it's BS, and I understand. I really do, because Hogan's been full of BS many times throughout the years. But this is Chris Jericho saying that he got a phone call from Hogan. Apparently they were on, speaking terms, and that Hogan told him he saw a lot of his NWO self in Jericho, and that Jericho was, in a way, was like a mirror of him, and was, taking the torch to... Basically, he was passing the torch to Jericho. I don't know how much of that I buy. I don't think I care. I find it wildly entertaining, though. And I can see some of the comparisons, Jericho with the Painmaker and stuff like that, reinventing himself the way he does and doing things the way Hogan reinvented himself with the NWO. I just find it very strange that this is the first time we're hearing about it. A little bit weird for me. Got to give kudos to Bayley. As we all know, Bayley's had some interesting posts recently, but one post she put up today was wonderful, amazing, fantastic. Super proud of her. She has been asked by Gail Kim and by Natty Neidhart to take the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge in honor of Rebel, AEW superstar, and she decided to take 2 buckets of ice water, though the second one missed her quite a bit, it seemed. But I love that she, spoke of Gail Kim, I love that she, her first bucket, she nominated a whole lot of WWE talent, Maxine Dupree, Grayson Waller, Carmella, which I thought was a cool one. Somebody else, I'm forgetting somebody else that she, Roxanne Perez. And then her second bucket, she nominated a bunch of the girls that she works with on the indie scene, which I thought was wonderful. I really like that. And I love that a WWE contracted, currently today superstar is supporting an AEW contracted superstar who's dealing with something so serious. So it was very cool to see that. Kudos to Bayley for doing the right thing. Please support ALS research and recovery. Those who know me know I recently lost a friend of mine to a battle to ALS that came on very quickly, and in less than 2 years, we lost him, and it's a terrible situation. Bayley actually loves, she explained that it's something that attacks your brainstem, your spinal column, and all that stuff. She really explained it, and it was really wonderful. And for somebody like me who has had some personal connection to somebody who has been lost to this, I couldn't agree more. If there's anything you can do, please, My ALS, go online, make a donation, and let's try to find a cure for this thing. From there, I'm going to address two questions that I got in the Pro Wrestling Sound Off line. I love it when I get an opportunity to do this. So question number one comes from Tom. I don't know if that's supposed to be one name, like beating a drum, Native American type stuff, or if that's somebody being silly. But Tom asked me, he said he watched Impact Wrestling on Thursday night, and he was very frustrated with the match between Nick Nemeth and Jeff Hardy. His question, I apologize, is, do I feel that Impact Wrestling has done right by the World Heavyweight Championship? And I appreciate your question, Tom. I really do. And let's be honest, Nick Nemeth can still go. He really can. I get it. He's up there. I think, if I remember right, I think he's I want to say he's 3 or 4 years younger than me. I think he's 46. And Hardy is 2 years younger than me, but I haven't had my birthday yet, so he would be 48. So, two guys in their late 40s. Now, here's the thing. Nemeth can go. Hardy, not as much anymore. It's almost getting frustratingly sad to see him trying to do what he did 25 years ago. I understand why they did the match, was to set up for the Brothers versus Brothers World Tag Team Championship match. But why is your world champion going to be going to lockdown and challenging for the tag titles? I don't enjoy that thought at all. And I don't want to see the Hardys in a cage match either at this stage of their careers. Matt Hardy was teasing about going back to WWE earlier today. I think it's a better idea for them to start winding it down and think about what the next phase of their involvement in pro wrestling could be. There was conversation that Matt Hardy was asked to be an agent way back in WWE days. Maybe that's something he transitions into, but if they're going to stay, I feel like they need to stick with cinematic stuff that they can hide their weaknesses and accentuate their positives, because this match, I'm with you, Tom. It was not a great match. It was slow, it was plodding. It felt like they were wrestling in the mud sometimes. So I understand your frustration, I do. And when you look at the roster with people like Ricky Sosa on there and Mustafa Ali and people like that who are young and vibrant and full of energy and can really, do a lot for the company. And you just lost Mike Santana, but let's just have a conversation about Mike Santana. Having a belt on him was a great idea. Joe Hendry was a great idea. This right now, Nick Nemeth is like a placeholder till we figure out who the heck is going to be their next guy. Trey Miguel is not a terrible option. Leon Slater, not a terrible option. So on that show, if I remember correctly, Leon Slater is now in a situation where he's challenging Cedric Alexander for the X Division Championship. And if he loses, his historic championship reign will be wiped out of the record books for all time, which is the stupidest stipulation I think I've ever heard in my life. You can't erase history. It is what it is. It's not going to be recognized. Then what did you do with your title for over a year? It's so dumb. Which also means Leon has to win the match. Otherwise, he looks like a double punk and he should go away for a while. Maybe he's leaving for WWE and that's why they're doing it. I don't know. However, if he doesn't win, the only reason I could see him not winning here is if you're immediately going to make him the guy and put him in the world title picture. That's it. That is it. But it shouldn't have been to erase his reign from history. It should have been you could never challenge for the X Division Championship again. Because doing it for a mid-card title, I'm okay with. Like, if you did it with the IC title or the United States Championship, the X Division, the AEW National Championship, International Championship, something like that makes sense because you could still go for the world title. I don't like downgrading, only upgrading. So, not sure how I felt about that either. So I know that's a little bit off topic of the World Championship, but you're right in when you say they have not done the TNA World Championship justice because they have not booked it correctly because they haven't cultivated anybody to take that championship. They really haven't. And the last comment for tonight, this one is Mary Beth Olson. Mary Beth, thank you for your question. Her question is about MLW, And I got this one tonight. And she said she saw the episode of MLW where Gallows and Anderson won the World Tag Team Championship and that Baron Corbin was involved. How is this possible? Well, we had a conversation a couple weeks ago on the show. The episodes that you're seeing from MLW that are playing now were actually taped back in April. So Baron Corbin was still a contracted wrestler for MLW at the time, part of the World Tag Team Champions. They filmed this quite a while ago. Gallows and Anderson won the championships back in April. It's just now that their playthrough time on their recording is finally hitting their channel. But no, I understand why it can cause some confusion, especially if you're not like following every day's like TV tapings and everything for every company and stuff like that. It makes a lot of sense why that could be confusing. How cool would it be though? You know, to have a WWE contracted guy in MLW, have the two companies doing something together, kind of like a AAA, or like a couple years ago, Nakamura went to Pro Wrestling Noah and wrestled the Great Muta when he was on his retirement tour and stuff like that. I think WWE would be wise to make more partnerships with more companies around the world. I forget the name of it. It's like WXP or something like that. There's one that Wrestle Talk News is sponsoring heavily that is in India, I believe, or maybe it's South Africa. I can't remember. But WXM, I think it is. You should check that out. It's got Raj Desi is in there and stuff, former Jinder Mahal. Partnering with companies like that, really bringing a variety to, say, not the WWE Network, because we don't have that anymore, but we certainly have WWE's YouTube channel and things like that. You could put on specials where you do things with those people. Do a Netflix special with WWE interviewers talking about these outside talents. I think it'd be a great idea. But no, to your original question, the reason you're able to see that title change tonight is because it was recorded so long ago. It's frustrating, you know, April, you go May, June, July, August. We're 4 months later. We're just now putting an episode out. Shows you how infrequently they tape shows for the company. And maybe that's a cost-cutting thing. You know, if you're Court Bauer with MLW, who, by the way, if you didn't hear, we mentioned on a previous episode, is negotiating with Tessa Blanchard. Keep an eye on that. But when maybe Court Bauer brings them in, gets all their matches for the next 4 months done in one night's taping, so that he can cut down on travel costs and things like that. Smart move if that's the case. But the problem is in 2026 with the spoilers out there and people reporting on everything, we find out about this stuff well in advance, or something like the Baron Corbin situation where he signs a contract with WWE and now he's not even in that company anymore and he never got a chance to put that match out there before people know that it's a pre-taped show. So a little bit crazy. But thank you everybody for your questions tonight. If you have questions, comments, concerns, please, by all means, as I said earlier at the onset of the show, call to Pro Wrestling Sound Off line 267-642-1160. I would love to get to more questions and comments from the audience. I appreciate you guys so much. But for now, that's all the time we have for this episode. Check back with us next episode. Run down the latest wrestling news and rumors. Special thanks as always to Suno for creating the music and sound effects I use in the show. If you want to bring a new friend to family game night, it's easy. I got 3 options for you. 1, by Beezle Games is a game called Sketchy People, where you get to showcase your artistic side in this game that is a combination, really, of like Chutes and Ladders and Pictionary. Or maybe you want to go see who can get in and out of the supermarket fastest while collecting everything on your shopping list. If you want to do that, grab a copy of Banani Market by Doodle Games. Or if you're somebody who's more into the sci-fi realm of things, travel around the cosmos and grab all of the relics on your way to the final challenge in Legendary Elements by Fufu Games. All 3 games available at thegamecrafter.com. Look, you know you've been playing the same boring old board games your whole life. Our parents and grandparents were playing the same boring old games. Let's get through with Monopoly. We don't need Uno anymore. We don't need, you know what I used to love? I absolutely used to love, it was called Pig Out. It was this thing where you rolled a cup and poured some pigs on the table. But those are all old school games. Grab something new. Support independent game creators. Go into thegamecrafter.com. Pick up your copy today. If you're looking for your next career move, you're considering college, university life, maybe you just need some formal training for your next opportunity, reach out to me through my website at frolifeplanning.com for all your higher education needs, as Fro Life Educational Planning is for today, for tomorrow, and for life with Fro Life. I'm Fred Froelich, better known as Dr. Fro. I want to thank you for taking some time with us tonight. Until next time, take care, everybody. Have a good one.